And as they discovered, going back since June, Taliban was communicating with everybody in Afghanistan through WhatsApp. And they would make their announcements. They were even accepting surrenders of people with the Ashraf Ghani regime through WhatsApp. They would give numbers out through WhatsApp to say, call this number if you're with the regime and you want to surrender, or if you're a citizen XYZ. Now, there was a piece in the New York Times, and I'm going to put all of this in your prep email, which is why you want to make sure that you subscribe to Chapter and Verse in my Substack. And if you are the paid subscriber, you get my radio prep. The story in the New York Times, this is in 2019, and it said that WhatsApp has unique benefits in the fight against the Taliban, who also rely on the app to update their superiors and check in with fighters. And Preston Byrne had reported on this. The battle has become a war of small, quick tactical gangs, a district here, a village there. And again, this is in 2019 in the New York Times. And for this, the advantages of the app, they say, far outweigh the potential vulnerability. Mainly, it's quick and flexible. Urgent decisions on imminent attack no longer must wait for ministers and commanders to get a secure operations center. WhatsApp groups have become virtual operations centers themselves, with ministers and commanders sending decisions from their bedroom, in between meetings, or even from an airport lounge. There is a question as to whether or not this was a blind spot, or maybe it wasn't a blind spot. Maybe it was, and it just simply wasn't paid attention to. And I bring up that last part because you had Andrew Bates here, who is the deputy White House press secretary, who had said, quote, he was refuting the claim that the administration didn't anticipate a Taliban takeover, at least not an immediate one. And he was refuting this by saying false. He says, quote, that possibility was in intelligence reports. The administration placed thousands of troops in the region to arrive promptly in the event of a swift disintegration, end quote. So they were unprepared. That's his answer to that. And I'm curious as to whether or not the speed at which they were able to do this, because that's part of one of the reasons why. I mean, they had to wait, and they had to, et cetera, et cetera. Now they can use these virtual command centers, essentially. Was that included? I'm curious. Was that included in their intel reports? Or is that something that they just didn't pay attention to? Because you had the Taliban, pretty expeditiously set up not just an entire government, but also control and leadership in all of these other different provincial towns throughout Afghanistan. Clearly it's not like they have, high-speed internet all hooked up over there. It's, they don't have, it's just crazy how quickly they were able to do this. And there are growing questions as to what role that played. Now, I bring that up because I feel as though and WhatsApp is owned by Facebook, and apparently based here in the U.S., there were platforms completely taken off the internet for beyond less than this. How are you going to kick Parler off, basically the internet and all app stores, and yet I would say that playing a role in the organization of the Taliban seems significantly more severe, right? So do we have intelligence monitoring these numbers? Do you think that this administration, because they apparently can reach out and have Facebook monitor everything else, but have they reached out to ask any of these social media platforms whether or not they have been monitoring WhatsApp and any of the numbers that the Taliban's been putting out? I think we're all trying to figure out why, because that's what really marks this as being so different from these instances in the past, where in the fight with against Taliban in the past. It's Facebook owned. This is an American business. So I'm just wondering, and I really hope that some reporter asks this question. Are you monitoring social media platforms like WhatsApp? Are you monitoring those? Do you think that is a reason why that contributed to the speed of them setting all of this up? I think so. One of the things that Preston Byrne reported too is the tone deafness of the embassy's tweets leading up to all of this, which I do think is a really good point. And it does make you wonder, what was their focus? What was their focus?